Oh man, well, actually, what are we talking about? Before we get to what we're talking about, welcome to our new home. Second time, Valley Extends, right?
Yeah, Valley Extends second
Round
time.
two, hashtag two.
Yeah.
And so, funny thing, I remember there's this cat video that I seen on YouTube, Facebook. I was doing my trolling, I guess is what the young people say, is trolling, right? Or something like that.
You're
And-
yelling at the cat video.
Oh my gosh.
With hashtags and all caps.
All caps, right? Emojis everywhere. But what's crazy about this video was you see this cat that made a mess with his or her cat food. And then his or her human is doing this, forcing the cat to clean up the mess. And what do you think the cat was doing?
It was like screaming.
Yes, unhappy.
Yeah.
So, you know, and what's crazy, so in a moment, the video you guys have to see it, we'll actually post in the comments so you can take a look for yourself. But it made me think about the workplace. How often do we, Lawrence, you need to go do this thing. Go do this thing. I need to get this thing done. I might get the result and get the cat food cleaned up. But is it really the right thing to do? Is it the right culture to have for my workspace or my environment? So I'm thinking we can spend some time and kind of take the cat video analogy and have some fun and expand on what this all means.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that, because that idea of forcing somebody to do something versus having them voluntarily do that because they like that as part of their job and they feel rewarded about it. Super, super important. And it is up to that manager to have some role in making that happen. So like you said, they could be the cat owner, or we think that there's a much, much better way than having a very angry cat or a herd of cats.
Panthers, right?
Panthers, yeah.
So
Eventually.
I'm having a Captain Hook moment. I don't want to go Peter Pan, but there's a Peter principle that you talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Peter principle. So when we're talking about that manager, they are frequently, if they're a new manager or if this is their first time supervising a team, they may or may not have had an opportunity to develop management skills. It's totally different than leadership skills. So being a good leader and establishing your vision and all of that, that's all very important. But what I'm talking about more specifically is recognizing that the people that you're leading all have their own individual strengths, right? So the Peter Principle says that you will be promoted to your lowest level of competency, right? Meaning if you are just getting your feet wet with the idea of leading and managing other people, like say you've been put on task assignments to manage a group of people, and you approach that in the interview and say, yeah, you know, I've been on these 3 or 4 or 5 different projects, and I led the project, and I've had these few experiences with solving some conflict or assigning tasks and that kind of stuff. Well, that's great for the interview, right? And somebody will land in the job. But the harsh reality is usually that the day-to-day of constantly having to do that is a lot different than when you've had to do it from time to time. Right? So people who are in management roles understand this as they grow in their management career, but particularly when people are fresh to it, they are at their lowest level of competency in management and have to grow that until they reach a new low level of competency and then get promoted again. So that's the Peter Principle. It's difficult.
Promotion.
It's difficult, right? And it's difficult to avoid. When a good company is thinking about that, they are more able to stack the deck in the favor of that new manager, right? So as new managers, probably the best thing to understand is that there are particular management competencies that you may feel that you have, but when you get into the day-to-day, it may be more challenging to exercise those and be very competent. It's okay. You have to admit to yourself, right?
That's hard to do
Mea culpa
sometimes.
moment. But admit to yourself, you know, I feel uncomfortable doing this. I may be distracted. I may not even have the skill set, but I pretend that I do. Like all of that is good fodder for reaching out to a coach or a mentor and identifying some of the ways that you can approach, in this case, creating a motivational environment for your people.
Cool. So moving on, recognizing motivation. Let's expand on that a little bit.
Like recognizing motivators like things that motivate people. So, Aaron, what are some of the things that really get you head down into a task where you just forget about time?
Writing music.
Okay. So, like, if you sat down to write
lyrics,
writing
a song, lyrics, yeah.
And then how much time would you say you like lose into the ether because you've sat down to write something for a couple of minutes and you poke your head up and like how much time has passed?
The funny thing is my mind tells me 5 minutes, but my watch likes to say about an hour sometimes.
Right.
Time flies.
So when you're sitting down to that task of writing music, would it be fair to say that that's a creative process for you?
Blank canvas? Absolutely.
All right. So has that ever like translated into other tasks? Do you find yourself in another creative process and go, man, that's just like when I write music?
Yeah, it's funny now that you say that. Like if I'm doing certain things, especially I love cooking when I'm barbecuing or whatever it might be, they kind of go hand in hand. They tie back and forth to each other.
Oh, okay. So cooking and writing music, they kind of trigger that same, oh, I'm doing something creative.
Yeah,
so
it's exciting.
It's a natural strength for you, right? So you find it motivating to do. And I know you're cooking, so, and I've seen it on Facebook too. So if you go check out Aaron's Facebook page, you will 9 times out of 10 see the backyard barbecue going with something that you wish you were there to eat. So
everyone's welcome.
So the point that I'm trying to make is, as a manager, we have to start honing in on those little things like when you say, yeah, I like to write music. As a manager, I'm going to hear that and say, oh, Aaron likes creative processes, so I'm going to put you in the environment where you have the most opportunity to exercise that creative process. That may not be the only strength. Clearly it's not, right? You have other strengths. But I want to put you in the place where you forget about time. And not because I want Aaron to run over budget or rack up overtime or something like that. But what I want is for you to engage in the process from the inside, and then when you leave it, that didn't feel like work, right? How many times can you say that? Oh yeah, it was a really long day, but it felt like nothing happened.
5 minutes or whatever.
Like it just blew by, right? Those are the days that you hit flow, and your manager has put you in a position to be successful and to thrive and to do something that you really enjoy. And we don't always get an opportunity to do that, okay? But the more frequently we can, on balance, the better we feel about our work environment.
Sure. So when you say environment, what comes to mind is you get a morale increase. You have people that want to go to work. I know some of the things that we talk here about often at WE is in turnover. I would imagine your turnover is reduced, your employees are much more engaged, and the simple thing is they're on time, right? They're taking their lunch on time, they're coming in on time because you've built this environment that makes people want to do great things and exceed consistently in that workspace.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think a little bit of high school and college. And if you think back on those times where you had classes that you really, really enjoy, you wind up showing up. And I don't mean that to be too callous, but I'm trying to hit the lowest common denominator of like students like me that really didn't want to go to class all the time. On the classes that I really enjoyed the topic or the way that the instructor presented it, I was more likely to do what I needed to do to get the class, to make sure that I wasn't going to have a conflict on the college level, or in high school I would engage more in the class that I was really thought highly of, right? Okay. Shockingly, though I did poorly in high school in it, history classes wound up being really, really interesting to me in college because of the way that the professors approached it, the way that they brought the class in, the way that they encouraged discussion and were revealing things that were new and interesting.
Nice, nice. So a few more bullets we want to get to. So the next one we'll just read on our wall here: the fallacy of motivating people.
Yeah.
Forcing to act versus encouraging contribution.
Yeah, so that's the cat. Right, so the whole fallacy behind motivating, and you're going to hear this a lot, is, hey, I need you to motivate your staff. That's not going to happen. It's you may as well say that you're forcing your staff to fall in love with you, and anyone who's tried that in the past has probably come up short,
Yeah.
to say the least. Right? Yeah. So we don't want to try to make people do anything. As a matter of fact, as a rule of psychology, you can't make anybody feel a particular way. So motivation is a feeling and is frequently translated into make your people act, right? So if you're having to make your people act, you can do that short term. Okay, you can make conditions so uncomfortable if they don't act, then they're forced into action. You can incentivize them incredibly that if they missed out on this, they're going to miss out on a huge bonus or lunch or whatever. I think about our lunch and learns.
Pizza for
everybody.
everybody.
Hey, there's food there. If you don't go to the lunch and learn, you don't get the food. So that's it's what we would call false motivation, right? Or just that. It's forced action. So what a good manager will do when they're asked to motivate people is to create a motivational environment. So based on understanding the strengths of the people that they're managing, they can do that better. It has to do with task assignments. It has to do with being creative about the process that you need to take to achieve the outcome that's expected of you. So as a manager, you're held accountable to something. Involving your team and how you come about that can really start to bring people's skills together.
So you're making me think about animals, right? So when my animals want to go to the park or for a car ride or whatever it might be, they know if they act crazy at the door, we're not going anywhere, right? But the environment I set up in my home is if you guys can just calm down and chill out for a minute, we all can go to the park, play fetch with the ball or whatever it might be. So the incentive is fun time, right? But I know how they're motivated. The animals want to go out and play, they want to go to the park, they want to go chase their balls around. But again, I have to set the right tone in my household for things to work well and pay attention to it.
Yeah, on that same analogy, it has me thinking of like Alaskan sled dogs, right? And the sled dogs really, really love to pull that sled across sub-zero weather. So I don't know what's going on through their
crazy.
head, but they've got this motivation. And the people who are running the sleds understand that, and they know how to get what they are expecting out of those dogs by setting them up in their environment and treating them right.
Nice. So let's just close up here. So why focus on strengths? And let's take this. What happens if you don't focus on it?
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of times, especially when I think about that Peter principle and the people rising to their lowest level of competency, it can be a challenge to naturally identify people's strengths. So in those situations, and I'm not identifying people's strengths, I'm going to start doling out tasks like I think I've seen it done in the past. So not all managers are very transparent with their process for assigning tasks. You just know that I need this person to do it. They have the time to do it. I need this person to do this because they've got the height or strength to do it. I need this person to do that because I'm just going down my list.
Wow.
Right? And so instead of paying attention and having a good conversation about what motivates that person, I'm left guessing, right? And assuming. And a lot of times based on the way that I notice you carrying yourself around the office, I may assume that you enjoy one kind of work, but in reality, you really don't, and you really enjoy another kind of work.
Yeah, and then, kind of what I'm pulling from that is, unfortunately, sometimes as people leaders, we place people in the wrong promotions. Because I see what you do, I think this is a great opportunity, so I'm going to put you here.
Right.
Again, I've now put you in a certain position based off a skill set that really doesn't correlate with the job I've now put you in. Which it could be a very scary, yet it's a big thing, because what we have seen through research, there are some companies out there that lose, we're talking millions of dollars a year based on that one simple piece.
That's right. When they put somebody in a role that they're uncomfortable in, that they themselves are not motivated to do. If you have ever had a manager or known a manager or director that just did not have the drive to get the work done, it could very well be that they themselves are not motivated to do that work. And yeah, that has ripple effects all throughout a company. and severely affects their productivity.
There it is. I think that's all we have. Anything else you want to share?
Nope. Today is a beautiful day and looking forward to spring. Yeah.
Man, all right. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon. Watch the cat video, laugh along with us, and hey, enjoy the day.
Indeed. And make sure that you comment down below. Connect with us on social media through our website at workforceeq.com. You can even now set an appointment to talk to us.